Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Ajoe21love. Here back again, Sports OU Topics, episode number 67. Very good week. Just wrapped up NFL Week 3. 12 and 4. 12 and 4 on my picks this week. Very good this week. Um, the Cowboys Eagles game is still going on right now, but only a few minutes left, and Eagles are down by 20. So that's pretty much out of it. So nonetheless, 12-4, good week. Definitely much better than opening week, which was 500, but still keep that streak going of 500 or better. We had some solid games this weekend, and I'll go over them all, as well as, of course, my predictions for week 4 of the NFL season. But again, thank you for joining me. If you're new to the podcast and you want to hear more videos, or if you want to look at more, click that subscribe. If you want to see more of the videos on the channel, as well as if you like this video, be sure to click that like button as well. About the video, but nonetheless, with that out of the way, let's get into it. So, week 3 in the books started off in a strange way, I must say, with Thursday Night Football. This last Thursday, the Carolina Panthers at the Houston Texans. The Panthers, Sam Darnold, he has heralded now being with the Panthers, getting his new lease on life since coming over from Jets. Had a solid performance, but it was at a cost in the sense of Christian McCaffrey, their star running back, who pretty much can do everything on offense. Strained his hamstring and will be without at least 3 weeks, or a few weeks from that is what I read, as well without their top pick, cornerback J.C. Horn, of course, the son of former Saints wide receiver Joe Horn, but nonetheless, a little bit of a costly win. But however, Panthers won 24-9. I mean, the Texans had Davis Mills starting for this game after obviously the injury last week to Tyrod Taylor in the game against Cleveland. He looked shaky. I mean, obviously for a rookie quarterback on a short week, first start against a good team in the Panthers. He did, however, have one good drive at the end of that first half once they hurried up for a nice touchdown drive at the end of the half. But aside from that, he looked relatively shaky. He took some hits. However, he looked the part. He just has to work on some things as far as being a quarterback. Next week it doesn't get better as he goes to Buffalo, but I would say a decent job for his first. Under the circumstances, good for Davis Mills and good for Sam Darnold and the Panthers, now 3-0 and currently lead the NFC South. Then move to Sunday's games, or yesterday's games. The Titans, I was 6-3 noted on for the afternoon or morning games, but overall I was 10-3. On Sunday, the Titans beat the Colts 25-16. Now, seemingly after the anomaly, which was the loss versus the Cardinals opening week, the Titans have really found the rhythm on offense again. Julio Jones and Matt Ryan, or excuse, got my mind that he's still a Falcon, but no. Him and Ryan Tannehill are finding their rhythm. Derrick Henry is feasting like he should, and it was an ugly game. Colts stuck in it, but Carson Wentz, I mean, now it could be just a build up to his injuries. I mean, obviously the foot thing in the offseason and then the ankle shtick last week. It's unfortunate, but again, a mediocre performance from the offense of the Colts, which we know how talented they are, but they just couldn't find the real gas pedal. Excuse me. Now, still a long season to go, but it's not looking good for the Colts offense. Well, the Falcons are winless no more. They, in the bout of on win, no wins, the Falcons versus the Giants. Despite being the underdogs, the Falcons muscle their way into a last-second field goal by Younghoe Koo and defeats Giants 17-14. I mean, both these teams are bad. I I mean, you just look both up and down the rosters, and it was really a pick'em game. But I had more faith in the Giants after what I saw against Washington, and it seems like last year or last season rather for the Giants, they're in games. However, they just lose them, and it's unfortunate. But good for Matt Ryan and good for the Falcons. Next, what was arguably game of the day, the Chargers in Arrowhead stunned the Chiefs. Justin Herbert outdueled Patrick Mahomes. 4 touchdowns for Herbert, 4 turnovers by Kansas City. Quick note, good to hear that Andy Reid has been released from the hospital. He reportedly was feeling ill after the game, Chiefs head coach, but luckily he's better and he's should return hopefully to the Chiefs soon. But nonetheless, this was a high scoring game, as we all kind of figured. The Chargers, after 2 kind of stunning performances against, Washington and Dallas. However, the points did not show for it. And this, however, in their biggest game yet, they showed up. The Chiefs, though, I mean, have been kind of sloppy as of late. It's how they kind of lost to Baltimore and, turnovers and such, and just weighing down on the Chiefs. And Chargers cooled their defense. They hung in there with the Chiefs offense and kind of a signature win in the sense for Chargers. And that division is really interesting with the Chargers, the Chiefs, the Broncos, and the Raiders. I mean, it's really a who's who now to decide who's going to win that division. But AFC West football is something this year. So then, going from one division to another, the AFC North, the balance of powers seemingly as Joe Burrow, who seemingly looks better than ever coming off his injury last year, and Jamar Chase, the former LSU teammates, now teammates in Cincinnati, have now connected on 4 touchdowns this season. And it's a sight to see. Good for Joe Burrow as they win 24-10 in Pittsburgh. You know, Pittsburgh's offense, because we know still how talented their defense is, it's just the offense is strange to watch because, I mean, you got a newly revamped O-line from last year. You got a new rookie running back in Najee Harris. Big Ben, he's 39. You know, he had a good season last year, but down the end when they put more on his plate, he frazzled out. And here in this case, when they're asking him to throw 50 plus times for a 39-year-old quarterback, that's just not really feasible and really a healthy look for their offense. So, and Big Ben said that starting the season, their offense wasn't going to look pretty. Well, it hasn't. You know, they beat Buffalo 23-16, but that was primarily defense and special teams. And they better find the gas pedal and quick because next week they go to Green Bay and they could be in for a long day if they don't find that way. But glad for Joe Burrow and the Bengals. 2-1 for the Bengals so far. Joe Burrow, along with Dak Prescott. It's going to be interesting to see who wins Comeback Player of the Year because both are playing admirable, very admirable to start the season. And both their teams are rewarding for it. However, for Justin Fields, his team did not reward him a good start as he was swarmed by the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland. I don't think he wants to see Myles Garrett anymore for a long time. As Myles Garrett had 4.5 sacks, Justin Fields was sacked 9 times in total in his debut. I mean, look, we all had the feeling that Cleveland was going to win this game, but at the same time, it's gut-wrenching because you want at least Justin Fields because you know Chicago has been clamoring for that franchise quarterback for so long, and here is Justin Fields' first day as a starter, and you look at the stats and you look at it, just from the play calling to the game plan, it's just they didn't use his strengths. They didn't utilize his strengths to the best of their ability to help him in this on in this lower ranked offense. They are the second lowest ranked offense for a reason. And it wasn't just Fields, but I mean, and they have talent. That's the puzzling thing. They have talent. David Montgomery, 1,000-yard rusher from a season ago. Allen Robinson, who is one of the best wide receivers in the league. Darnell Mooney, who is a speedster, and the tape will show it that he can run past anyone. I mean, Cole Kmet, their second year tight end from last year. Jimmy Graham, who is a veteran in this league. They have talent on this offense. And for them to only put up 6 points, yes, I know it was Justin Fields making his first start, but just puzzling. However, good for Cleveland. I mean, they are certainly a contender in the AFC, and not much to say. Good for Cleveland. Especially good for Cleveland now that they have full stadiums back. Because, I mean, there's going to be a lot. They've only had one winning season since their last playoff appearance prior to last season. And, there's going to be a lot of Cleveland fans that are not used to the Browns winning. So it's got to be good for that overall vibe and the stadium. Then we saw history being made in Detroit. The Ravens won 19-17. And first of all, before I get into it, like I said last week when they lost to Green Bay, credit to the Lions. They've hung around in these games. They're a rebuilding team. They are an outmanned team, but I like where they are headed with Dan Campbell as the coach. And Penei Sewell, I like their O-line. When they get Taylor Decker back, their left tackle, should be much better. But they have resolve with this team. And they'll be good in the future. It's just right now it's not going to show it. Now getting to the Ravens side. Justin Tucker, who we all know is one of the best kickers in the league, arguably the best. He is mostly reliable, mostly automatic. This, however, with 3 seconds to go on the play clock, or from 66 yards, It bounces on the crossbar, and I thought it went out. I thought it was going to bounce out, bounce on the field. Lions get the gutsy win. And honestly, they kind of deserved it because with all the mishaps and mistakes that the Ravens made. But fate had it another way as the ball that hit the crossbar did bounce out and went in, and thus history was made, a 66-yarder, the longest field goal, longest kick in NFL history, and a gut-wrenching loss for the Lions. The Ravens, like I said, there were miscues, drops, mistakes made, but hats off to the Ravens. They get it done. This game next up was the game that I had most trouble probably picking of the week. Saints at Patriots. The Saints won 28-13. I mean, the Saints offense was a tale of two cities the first 2 weeks of the season. First week they demolished Green Bay in Jacksonville. Then last week against Carolina, they only scored 7 points. So the question was which offense of the Saints was going to show up. Whereas with the Patriots, well, it wasn't great or spectacular. It was consistent last 2 weeks. Uh, so, but nonetheless, the Saints offense found their gear this week, and Patriots offense was weird to see. Weird to see this week. Now, again, we have a rookie quarterback in Mac Jones. He's going to make mistakes. There's going to be growing pains. We've seen that with all rookie quarterbacks this year. But it was just odd to see. I think the play that summarized the game most was that pass to Hunter Henry that he couldn't corral, and it wound up in Malcolm Jenkins' hands, and he went in for a pick six. The perfect play that described this game. So, congrats to the Saints. For the first time, they'll be in New Orleans next week. So good to see. And thus it starts for the Patriots. That long, very long week of preparing for Tom Brady and the Buccaneers next Sunday night. Oh boy. So then, next from that game to another game that had some history to it. Cardinals and Jacksonville take on Jaguars. Cardinals won 31-19. The Jaguars were very much in it for the majority of it. However, mistakes and look, I know with all these quarterbacks, I know Trevor Lawrence has obviously turned the ball over, and I get it. but I'm giving all these rookies kind of a pass through, due to these circumstances. Mac Jones probably not as much because he's on a good team. And Trey Lance, he's kind of been put in spots for the 49ers. But nonetheless, when it comes to the rookie quarterbacks, I'm kind of giving them a pass for relatively this year. Still, the Jaguars, outside of that history they can play, which was originally a 68-yard attempt by Matt Prater, who previously had the record for the longest field goal in NFL history, was returned for a 109-yard kick six by Jamal Agnew of the Jaguars, which instead of taking the lead, they were behind at the half, which was a good momentum boost for the Jags, but ultimately after that, after things settled down, the Cardinals took a hay and powered through, winning it 31-19. I didn't have much trouble picking the next game. I was just curious how it was going to actually go. As the Bills, they hosted the Washington football team. I almost said that word, but I'm not going to say it because I know people will get upset if I do. But the Bills won in Buffalo 43-21. Terrell Heineke played good. It's just Josh Allen. Now, for those who are acting like last season was an aberration for Josh Allen, it was only the beginning. As here in this game, he shows why he was an MVP candidate last season. And 40, I mean, just not much to say. Josh Allen was on point all day. The Washington defense does not appear to be. Now, I mean, they face Justin Herbert and Josh Allen, which I understand. However, they also surrendered 29 points to a Daniel Jones led offense. So their defense does not appear to be what it was last season. Safe to say. That was their strength last season. Next, and what Jets fans may want to forget this season, they're just probably going to try to power through, but Broncos shut out the Jets 26-0 to nothing. In the biggest line of the day, Broncos definitely covered. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater, it's good to see because we know how the Broncos have been itching to find that quarterback post Peyton Manning to uplift the cause because they have a good team around him. It's just they need that leader to help guide the ship. And Teddy Bridgewater so far has been gutsy and he's done the right things to guide this ship and 3-0 to show for it for the Broncos, and it's good to see. I mean, for the Jets, I love Robert Sala. Zach Wilson, we know has talent. It's just the whole talent surrounding that team is kind of in a dark cloud, I would say. Then we had another great game. The Raiders, speaking of the AFC West, the Raiders also power through 3-0. First time since 2002 when they went to the Super Bowl to lose to the Buccaneers. But the Raiders now 3-0. Won in overtime. Now, it was ugly start. Carr threw a pick six. It was 14-0, but then it became they were going off. It kind of felt like they found a second gear. And all of a sudden they got 15-0 and then 25-0 or 25-14. Now, credit to Jacoby Brissett. You know, Tua is out. I think they'll have lost by more if Tua was in there. But very solid performance by Jacoby Brissett. And willed it to overtime. You know, they got the field goal. However, they just couldn't stop the Raiders when they need to. And Derek Carr, if you had to ask me right now who I think is MVP of the NFL season after 3 weeks, I say Derek Carr. I know that sounds weird, and it's weird to say, but looking at all the stats, looking at the quarterback, and looking at how the team is doing, Derek Carr is right now my MVP after week 3. We still have a long season to go, but that's where it stands right now. And where it stands right now is the Vikings are 1-2. They prevent from going to 0-3, and they got a big win. Their home opener of the season, and powered through, and without Dalvin Cook, they beat the Seahawks 30-17. I mean, we know that the Vikings have had 2 bad losses the first 2 weeks of the season, losing overtime and missing that potentially game-winning field goal against the Cardinals. But they still bounce back and they're still fighting, and it's good to see. And Kirk Cousins, he has thrown 200 passes straight without a pick. And I know Kirk Cousins, you know, he's not the most winning quarterback and he's not the most flashiest quarterback, but he's definitely there and he's definitely playing some really good football as of late. So good for the Vikings. Seahawks, I'm concerned of because, I mean, but at the same time, they are a stop away from being 2-1, so give or take, but it's just strange with the Seahawks. And considering this division, it's gonna be tough. And then what was tough, a tough pill to swallow for the Buccaneers as they lose the 34-24 in LA. Tom Brady's first trip to LA. And what a statement by the Rams. Matthew Stafford and the Rams, they're firing off. I kind of have a feeling because we know how good the Rams defense is, but what's concerning has been the defense of the Bucs the last few weeks. You know, let up 29 points versus the Cowboys. You know, they're winning pretty against the Falcons, and then they let them back into it. This week, they just couldn't stop them. And really glad for the Rams. And really glad for Stafford. Cooper Kupp. I mean, he's having a very good start. I mean, besides a quarterback, he is my offensive player of the year, it seems. Cooper Kupp is having a stellar start to the season, and much could be attributed to Stafford. It's just a solid combination, I must say, between those two. And if they can both stay healthy, it's going to be nightmarish for defenses. So both the Patriots and Buccaneers come off losses gearing towards Sunday night. So then, Sunday Night Football, another thriller on Sunday night. We've been getting thrillers on Sunday night so far, and I hope it continues. So, Packers won on a last-second field goal by Mason Crosby to beat the Niners 30-28. The Packers were ahead 17-0 before the half, and then Trey Lance runs in for a short touchdown, which seems to give the 49ers some life. And then they score on a touchdown right coming out the halftime break, and it seems like the momentum has changed. And then all of a sudden, the Packers fired back, but the 49ers stayed in it. And ultimately, with less than 40 seconds left, Jimmy G throws a touchdown to, I would say, the best fullback in the league, Kyle Juszczyk, for a touchdown. And you would think that would be enough. But 37 seconds was enough time for Aaron Rodgers. But also you have to admit that the secondary and the coverage for the 49ers failed. They just failed on those two plays. I mean, wide open for Devontae Adams. But nonetheless, Rodgers drives him down the field. Game-winning field goal by Crosby. I mean, it could have gone either way. Definitely could say that, but you have to think that, I mean, he's in the moment. As a player, you gotta think touchdown, but you have to think perhaps if Juszczyk had sit down or put his knee down short inside the one, that perhaps they would have burned off enough time. And now, I mean, they probably wouldn't have gotten in, but at least they would have gotten the ball last, is all. That's probably how. But nonetheless, that was Sunday night, and then I might as well, because I signed off with 3 minutes left, check out the final score of Eagles and Cowboys. "41-21". So same score as I left with 3 minutes to go. As figured, you know, Dak and the offense is still rolling. And if they continue to orchestrate both Zeke and Tony Pollard into the offense, this offense can be what we've been kind of expecting. And that defense, now again, it's the Eagles, but they're playing better than what they did last year. You know, obviously it was a shutout, or it was a shootout opening day versus the Buccaneers. But since then, 17 points or 14 points, give or take, against the Chargers, laying up, and then 21 points, technically 14 with a garbage time touchdown for the Eagles. But I mean, they look better, rejuvenated. Michael Parsons, I must say, has been a very pleasant pickup for them on defense. And they're getting healthier. Good to see for the Cowboys, I must say. For the Eagles, they look great week one versus the Falcons. But I mean, I think it's now starting to settle in. Nick Sirianni, his first year as head coach. Jalen Hurts, I like him. Of course, he did great again week one. But, you know, you have to realize that they're down talent as well. When you look at their overall talent on offense, besides the O-line, which we're now seeing cracks from, it's unfortunate because Devontae Smith is going to be learning. Jalen Rigger is going to be learning. We know the veterans at tight end, Goddard and Ertz, but the system and the coaching, it seems like it's going to ultimately hold this offense down the way I feel they would look like they did tonight. But nonetheless, those are my recap of week 3. Now let's get into week 4, as week 3 is in the books. Now week 4 predictions of the NFL season. Let's get it. So, Thursday Night Football will be a fun watch in the sense that first overall pick from this year, Trevor Lawrence. First overall pick from last year, Joe Burrow. Bengals 7.5-point favorites. I mean, the Jaguars at least are increasing their win total, or not win total, their points. So that's a plus week to week. The Bengals, I don't expect to contain them a lot because they don't have a lot of talent on the defense. However, they have good talent. Jesse Bates at safety. They're big up front. 7.5 points seems too much. So I'm going to go with the Bengals 26-21. Joe Burrow once again beats Trevor Lawrence. Next, Sunday games. Titans going to the East Weatherford to play the Jets. 7.5 points may not be enough for this game. I got the Titans covering. I think Vrabel is the type of coach to keep them in check and realize, yes, they're having won, but let's not make them their, or let's not us be their first win. So got the Titans 27-14 over the Jets. Next, we got the Chiefs going to Philly. Philly, we just saw their performance against Dallas. Kansas City, they had a stunning loss against the Chiefs, or excuse me, Chargers. Now, with the reports that Andy Reid, thankfully, is going to be okay, I imagine they're going to be upset both and for this loss on Sunday because they kind of shot themselves in the foot. And want to get the bad taste out of their mouth, and besides, they're 1-2. They kind of need this win. It's weird, but a must win for the Chiefs, kind of, against Philly. So I'm going to say they bounce back and they beat Philly 30-21. So next we got Carolina 3-0 Panthers at the Cowboys. Cowboys 4.5-point favorites. By the way, the Chiefs were a 6-point favorite, so I have the covering. But Cowboys 4.5-point favorites. Hosting Carolina, who's now 3-0. So with the loss of Christian McCaffrey, that will mean Sam Darnold will have to pull it more for the next few weeks. Now, they still have Chuba Hubbard and Royce Freeman, but they're not as big as McCaffrey. And without Horn, that's also going to be a loss as well. They still got a bunch of talent in their defense. I just think after what we just saw with the balance of the run game and Dak, provided they stay healthy, I'm going with the Cowboys to win but not to cover 27-23 over Carolina. So then we got the Saints hosting the Giants. GM now 0-3. Saints now 2-1. It seems like we now know the formula with the Saints offense. Don't have Jameis throw a lot. Have it flow through Alvin Kamara and the run game, and Jameis picks his spots, and sometimes they feature Taysom Hill. So it won't look pretty, but as long as they're consistent, then she'll work. The Giants, I admire their fight, like last year, but no wins. So I go with the Saints to make it 2 straight. Giants cover though, 23-17. Now we got the Vikings hosting the Browns. Now, on one hand, it's a 1.5 point favorite for the Browns. On the other hand, it's a pick'em game, which I'm a little surprised by. I mean, so the question will obviously be Dalvin Cook, his status. The Browns, we know, are a contender. Now, after this big win, can the Vikings build from it? Because we know the Browns are a different cat than the Seahawks. If the Vikings pull it off, good for them, but so far, I'd have to say not. Unfortunately, I got the Browns 24-20. And then a confusing game to pick. The Lions go to Chicago. I mean, the defense of the Bears, which has been their biggest strength the last few years, just seems not right this year. And Khalil Mack went out for an injury, but thankfully he came back. What I see from the Lions and the Bears are a 4 point favorite. Well, surprised. So, and I don't know who the quarterback's going to be. So, I mean, it's strange, but I do know I'm liking from what I've been seeing from the Lions. So, therefore, I'm going with the Lions to get their first dub of the season for Dan Campbell in Chicago, 22-20. Next, I feel bad for Davis Mills as the Texans go to Buffalo. Buffalo, after their big performance against Washington, now they welcome in Houston. 17-point favorite by the Bills. I say Bills cover. I mean, the Texans have not given me a reason, especially with Davis Mills. Maybe if Tyrod was playing, but I don't see how the Texans can cover. So I'm going with 33-14. Maybe if the Bills back up the gas, but that's it. So then we got Miami, the Dolphins hosting the Colts. Dolphins 2 point favorites. A close loss in Vegas in overtime versus the Raiders. The Colts I mean, their offense just seems whack. I mean, if you take out the special teams touchdown against the Rams, the offense of the Colts has not scored over 20 points, or actually have scored less than 20 points the first 3 weeks. I mean, I like Carson Wentz. I want him to do better. But with what I've been seeing, I just cannot pick him. And Jacoby Brissett, yes, he's not great, but what I saw with the Raiders, I at least have more faith in Jacoby Brissett than I do Carson Wentz. So I'm going with Dolphins to win 24-21. Another confusing game, we got Washington going to Atlanta. Atlanta 1 point favorite, which likely means that if this was a neutral field game, Washington would probably be favored. So Washington got trounced by Josh Allen. Falcons narrow bet past the Giants. I mean, I still like Matt Ryan, but so when you compare the rosters, and Matt Ryan's not a Josh Allen at this point in his career, and that defense has not had great showings the first 3 weeks. Excuse me. I think they step up this week, and Washington gets a win 22-18 in Atlanta. Next week could be a shootout in a crucial game in the NFC West. Seahawks going to San Fran, Levi Stadium, play the Niners. Niners 3-point favorites. Seattle needs this to prevent from going 1-3. San Fran does not want to drop to 500 in this division. So, question now, like I said earlier, the Seahawks are just one stop from going 2-1, and I got concerns about the 49ers defense. You know, Josh Norman, he had 2 broken runs in the loss versus Green Bay, and he'll be out for a bit. And which means the secondary of the 49ers is a bit in shambles, which makes that pass rush a little more dire. And we saw with the quick throwing game of the Packers, they neutralized the pass rush of the Niners. And Russell Wilson, Tyler Lockett, if they can follow that formula, and Chris Carson, he didn't have a great game against the Vikings. He still got 80 yards and a touchdown. I think the Seahawks, coupled with the fact that they need this game, I'm going with the Seahawks to get the dub 29-24 in San Fran. Next, what may be the game of the day. Cardinals at Rams, 3-0 versus 3-0. Who is going to go 4-0 and be sole possession of first place in the AFC West? Both explosive offenses, both with solid pass rush on defense. Both have big names in the secondary. Both have young coaches. It's tough, but I just have this feeling, and I'm going with the Cardinals in a shootout. Get it done in SoFi, 34-30 over the Rams. Although the Rams a 6-point favorite. So then, what a couple weeks ago looked like a very good matchup for the Steelers. This time looks like a very good matchup for the Packers. So, Steelers going to Green Bay. Green Bay 7-point favorite. Steelers, like I said, if they don't find their way, find their footing on offense, it's going to be a long day against the Packers. And I don't think it'll be a long day. I think they'll keep it close. But right now, I trust Aaron Rodgers more than Big Ben and their offense to make a play. So I'm going to go with 24-16 Packers. Another interesting game. Broncos host the Ravens. Broncos 2.5-point favorites. This is the first real test of the Broncos this season. The Ravens, we know the history, making win against the Lions. I just think when we know how the Ravens can fall flat, it's with a solid offense and a solid suffocating defense. And the Broncos are healthy. The Broncos have a really good defense. Teddy Bridgewater, he won't lose it for them. So I think they get it done in Mile High against the Ravens. 28-24. Broncos. And here it happens. Sunday night. Patriots welcoming back Tommy Brady as the Buccaneers come to New England. New England are Tampa Bay 5.5-point favorites. I will say, so the way to frustrate Brady, and I know that I still support Brady after all he's done for the Patriots. The way we know to beat Brady is pressure up the middle. And with our big D line, with Matthew Judon, with Christian Barmore, with Devon Gottschall, etc., we have a good O line or D line to frustrate Brady. Now, the flip side is our offense cannot stay with the offense of the Buccaneers. And I mean, I imagine Antonio Brown is going to be back. So, coupled with all that, it just seems like we would need multiple turnovers in order to win it. So, I don't think it'll be a blowout. I think we can keep it close somewhat, but I got the Buccaneers winning 31-22 in New England. Somewhat frustrating for both sides, but yeah. And then what should be a good one to end week 4, the 3-0 Las Vegas Raiders go to SoFi to play the Chargers, coming off that big win over the Chiefs. You know, Herbert had a star-making moment against an Arrowhead on Sunday. The Raiders just keep getting it done. They just keep getting it done. I mean, I like both teams. It's a tough division. Both defenses are quietly underrated, I must say. They're quietly underrated. Now, the other thing is Austin Eckler and the run game of the Chargers. They took care of, or they bulldozed through the Chiefs' defense. And the Raiders, yes, Josh Jacobs isn't 100%, but Kenyon Drake did a good job as well with Peyton Barber of taking the role against Miami. I can't pick against the Raiders yet. I have to see them lose. They just have this resilience about and sticking it to, and their cars playing great. And until they lose, I can't pick against them. So it's hard to pick against Herbert as well, but I'm going with the Raiders. Get it done. 28-26. Oh, doozy, but that's a solid way to end the predictions and end the episode. So that's my week 4 predictions, and that's the episode for you guys. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I know I did too. I'll be back obviously later this week with my AEW reviews, as well be back next week with Sports Overview Topics episode number 68. So thank you again. If you like this video and you want to see more, click those buttons on the screen. But thank you. Be safe. Peace.